Hey, very glad to be here. Such a big auditorium with a lot of enthusiastic people trying to get to understand, what's going on with like Web3, what's going on with like crypto. So let's get started, and then, so the talk is a Polkadot keynote, but I'm going to focus more on the Web3 vision. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're from enterprise, or a student, so this talk has been tailored, for you. So the idea is that, uh, previous two talks, they focused a lot on assets, right? So it's about making money. You invest, you have like crypto as like an asset vehicle. But this talk is more about, can you do more with blockchain, right? So can you create the next Facebook, next Uber, or like Grab application that is much more fairer and user-centric? So that's where Polkadot is a means, is a vehicle for achieving such vision. So just for you to relate to me as a speaker, so I'm an academic. So I was in Hanoi University of Science and Technology yesterday. Lots of enthusiasm, very inspired by the students, interacting with the students. So I did my PhD in AI. So this was in the US. I was also a teaching faculty at the University of Vermont. And then I moved to Switzerland, so which is where I work at like Web3 Foundation. And the key focus is like the Polkadot project. So before I get started, like, a lot of you may have heard of Polkadot back in 2021. Since then, a lot has happened in the ecosystem on the technology front. So we are home to 40 different blockchains. Okay, so the idea is that every individual blockchain that we host is customized for a specific use case. Think about digital identity, Internet of Things, or privacy. So the idea is that we are the home for these different blockchains that are trying to push the boundaries in the individual use cases for like blockchain. And this is the data from the month of May. So we still have a lot of activity across these blockchains. So I mentioned to you earlier, right? Like, so if you want to do like decentralized finance or some crypto payments, yes, you need like a certain performance for the network that you're running on. But if you want to go any bit further, like a social media app that is trying to leverage on like blockchain technology, things should scale like exponentially in a way. So think of the level of activity that would happen if we were to bring the existing like social media users onto like blockchain technology stack. So we did a stress test of like Polkadot network. So this was a community event that we did with like what we call like spamming. So we asked community members like you to spam the chain and then get to see how much throughput we have on the network. So we clearly hit around like 160,000 like transactions per second, which sort of like addresses multiple applications more than just like DeFi. So we are also home for like numerous projects. So I'm part of like Web3 Foundation, which sort of gives grants. So if any of you in the audience are interested, in exploring like a use case with us, we are happy to explore, the possibilities of funding with you. And like I said, I'm coming from the Web3 Foundation, so its job, its vision, yes, the Polkadot is like the main focus, but it also has this vision which I very closely associate with myself with. So we want to build like an internet that is fair. We want to give the control back to the user, the identity, and ultimately like the destiny. So I think. So Polkadot tries to be this thought leader, trying to put and improve like the technology to ensure this vision becomes a reality. So so what are we contributing technologically to Web3 and internet in general, right? So if you look at like Bitcoin, yes, it's a network. Bitcoin holds value for the reasons, that many of us know, like, we attribute value to it. It has the value. So Bitcoin network, it's able to keep track of like accounts and balances of people interacting with it, but nothing more, right? So there's not much you could do technically. It was not meant to do anything more than that. Like people have hacked it to do like other stuff, but fundamentally it's like a peer-to-peer, like a payment platform. So then Ethereum came like 10 years back. So think of how fast like blockchain technology advanced. Like Ethereum made it possible for you to write programs that could execute. But again, the programs are very limited. So whatever program you write, it has to be executed within the block limits that Ethereum sets. So fine. So what does like Polkadot bring to the table? It's going a little bit further. It's trying to become the cloud server for Web3 applications and services. So if you want to think of like ways to bring fairness to internet with like creating these applications, and then you want access to the blockchain services, like Polkadot is going to make it hassle-free for you to access them. Yeah, at the end of the day, any typical blockchain network, it looks like this. So this is like Polkadot network. It comprises of around 2,000 nodes right now, of which 600 nodes are participating in like this consensus. So they are the nodes that are going to keep the network like together. So now the idea is that we treat decentralization as a means for resilience. So we want the network to be resilient, not a government or individual or in fact, like no entity in this world should be able to unilaterally take down the network, right? So if you're deploying an application on Polkadot network, it should execute, irrespective of like who wants to take it down. Okay, so this is our goal. So we want to sustain decentralization. We want to make like Web3 more accessible. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with like Solidity. Yes, like with Solidity, you're able to build like these interesting like smart contracts and then applications. So we want to bring that to Polkadot along with a lot of other accessible technology as well, so which I'm going to cover shortly. So yes, so Polkadot already proved itself for scaling to millions. And I have few real-world examples that I want to share with you right now. So one of them is payments. So earlier panels discussed about like payments, saying that behind the scenes, like banks are already using probably the stablecoin technology stack. So Polkadot, with its like parallel execution like architecture, is able to bring down the costs of like these transfers dramatically. And also, it has the fee mechanism that keeps it very predictable. So right now, if you were to transfer stable coins like $10 on like Polkadot network, it would cost you less than a cent, right? So that's what we're looking at. So the other thing that I want to highlight is, so these two apps, so these are the official apps of like NFL and FIFA. So very popular. It's by like Mythical Games. So behind the scenes, the users are benefiting from the principles of Web3. So fundamentally, all the assets that they sort of earn or own on that platform, so they're actually being handled by the Polkadot technology stack, right? So the users don't even know it. But at the end of the day, the users can be peaceful, knowing that their assets are not controlled by Mythical Games, but rather by the blockchain stack behind the scenes. And also, this is probably my favorite project on Polkadot. So it's called Frequency. They're trying to improve the way we interact like online. So think of any social media application. So whenever you create your profile, you have to grow your network individually. So if you're on LinkedIn, you're going to grow your network there. If you're on Facebook, you start from scratch. If you're on Instagram, it's the same story repeating all over again, right? So instead, this project creates this social graph where you could label each other, saying, hey, this is my friend, this is my colleague, and this is my friend as well as colleague, right? So, and then you take this social graph into these different applications, and then you're able to interact with each other, either professionally or share your friendly updates. So that is the fundamental concept, and then a lot can be built on top of it. So think of like TikTok, YouTube, and a lot of these content-related applications that are making billions of dollars from the user-created content. So for the content creator to be fairly compensated for their work, it is possible to use the social graph and the micropayments that blockchains have already been succeeding at, and create interesting applications that bring a lot more value and revenue to the users. So Frequency is also partnering with like Blue Sky. So Blue Sky is this popular project by Jack Dorsey, who is the founder of Twitter. So Blue Sky has more scope for like decentralization. So it is possible for you to curate the algorithms on the social media platform. So if you use any social media platform, you don't have control on the AI algorithm that's running on it, right? So if you like one cat picture, the next moment you see hundreds of cat pictures in your feed. But this sort of treats us not like products, but as someone with like some intellectual capacity on deciding what we want to see or follow on like internet. So it is possible with this like Web3 technology stack to build interesting applications like these. So a simple insight that I want to share. So Frequency also considered getting like US TikTok on board, which has over like 170 million users. They were confident enough to do that because like Polkadot SDK is able to give them a lot of custom features to scale to these many users, right? So this is what I'm trying to convey here. So if you're like an enterprise or an entrepreneur or a student, like who's thinking about the future, more than like assets, more than cryptocurrency, you can take a look at like Polkadot's like technical capabilities, and then we can discuss like after my talk as well and see like how we can help you with that. And yeah, so how does Polkadot serve as this cloud, right? So we do what's called agile core time. So at the end of the day, in a blockchain, you need to get access to these computational resources. So you could do it like 24/7, but most of the blockchains right now, they don't even produce a transaction every hour. So it's mostly like ghost chains that are just running the infrastructure without much use. So Polkadot eliminates that need. You could actually produce a block or add information to your ledger on demand as well. So this is going to improve the efficiency of the way we run the blockchain infrastructure. So we go a little bit further. So I don't know how many of you know about CryptoKitties incident on Ethereum. It literally broke the network like back in 2017, 18. So when there is a high volume event that is happening on your Web3 application, Polkadot actually provides like additional cores, like additional resources to handle that volume. So again, all of this is novel. No other blockchain technology stack sort of thought through like all these different corner cases that Web3 applications that want to scale might be using, right? So we have this elastic scaling feature that is being rolled out later this year on like Polkadot network. And yeah, so finally, what's the proposition that Polkadot really offers at the end of the day? So today, if you're trying to build a Web3 application, from day one, from block number one, you get like full security of like Polkadot. So if anybody wants to mess with your application or they want to attack your application, they have to attack the entire Polkadot network's security in a way. So Polkadot backs its like economic security through like staking mechanism. So people really have to attack that to attack your particular app. And the beauty of it is we are also able to let these applications, these blockchains, communicate with each other like seamlessly. So this feature is not available in Ethereum because it was never built for like interoperability, right? So Polkadot from the beginning was looking at interoperability as a feature. So right now we are working on technology stack where you can write Solidity smart contracts that actually can natively call functions from other blockchains as well. So technologically, we're making a lot of innovations in this particular area. And just to give you some numbers, like Polkadot already has this cross-chain messaging, like transferring like assets or like other calls between the chains. So we are we have over like 1 million messages that were transmitted between the parachains. And also one of the very interesting features that Polkadot has is this trustless bridges. So again, Web3 is about, like the previous panel mentioned, it's about eliminating these middlemen to create more efficient way of like communication. So Polkadot has a trustless bridge to Ethereum, and the way it works is Polkadot runs Ethereum Light Client as a part of its protocol, so it understands whether a transaction is final or not on Ethereum side. And on the Ethereum side, there is like a smart contract that tries to understand which transactions are final on Polkadot side. So it's like there's nobody in between. So if you made a transfer on Ethereum, Polkadot gets to know and then is able to do something with it, right? So if you build an app that is using this bridge, you can leverage on that capability. And yeah, so this is the idea. Like we want to take like Web3 further. We want to make it more than just decentralized finance. Like we want to be able to improve every aspect of like internet. Like wherever Web3 principles can sort of enhance the life of like users in general, we want to be able to assist there. And this is exactly how we're going to do that. So yeah, for those of you who are wondering like what Polkadot Cloud and this hub terminology is, so if you're trying to build like an application, you'd be looking at launching it on cloud. But if you're looking at like some smart contract app, which with basic functionality and interacting with token and utility, you'll be launching it on hub. So yeah, so hub is where like the community lives. We have the treasury, we have the staking, and all the other token utility features of Polkadot featuring there. And yes, so we launched in 2020, so we came a long way. Along with Near Protocol, we are like the first execution sharded blockchain. With sharding, like running things in parallel, we achieve scalability. We fundamentally use Rust as our programming language in the SDK, and then port everything to like WebAssembly. So probably this is a blessing as well as a curse, because there aren't many Rust developers out there, and then we haven't really captured the potential of Web3 developers who are mostly learning like Solidity, right? So that's why we are, again, being these thought leaders and then trying to push the boundaries with RISC-V, virtual machine, which is going to run Solidity smart contracts. So happy to chat about this more. So Ethereum has this on the roadmap, but Polkadot already experimented with it and actually deployed it on a production-grade network like Kusama. Yeah, so this is Vitalik's post mentioning about like RISC-V, transition on an Ethereum network, but we already have a working implementation for that. So this is a bit technical. I think you just have to understand it's not just Solidity. You could also build smart contracts in other languages like Rust and be able to deploy it on Polkadot. Yeah, so you can check the, so I'm actually running out of time, so I'm going to quickly pass through like the other slides that I have. So Polkadot was able to put this logo on like Messi's t-shirt, and this happened through like the governance that we have. And again, like we are improving as a DAO, so there are much conservative decisions like happening right now on the network. We have a treasury that supports like Web3 use cases. We have about like $100 million in treasury to support like initiatives that are brought by community members like you. And we have like an OpenGuild portal that assists you with like, your treasury proposals. So we have stablecoin liquidity that is going up. And then our wallets, they are also like improving significantly. So compared to 2021, Polkadot wallet UX has improved a lot. And if you're a student, and then if you're on the entrepreneur track, try to reach out to me after this talk. I have some programs for you that enable you with like Web3 education. And yeah, Web3 Foundation does a lot of like open source, like funding, education, and advocacy, which is part of like why I'm here today. We have grants applications as well. We have somebody from grants team in the audience, so feel free to reach out to us after. And then finally, this is where I want to end. Like Polkadot has been a thought leader, and then now it's trying to scale to billions with this new Jam protocol. Reach out to OpenGuild, so they're local in like Vietnam. And with that, I would like to end my talk. Thank you very much.